Opportunity is missed by most people because it is dressed in overalls and looks like work. Thomas Edison. Hello and welcome to the Durham Talents channel. My name is Jesse Durham. We're back for another installment in our quotes series where we evaluate financial quotes, and we do that with an infinite banking lens. Now, Thomas Edison is saying here that opportunity is missed by most people. And here's why: because it looks like work. Okay. Now, when I heard that quote, and this is one that I looked up, this is one that I came across in reading. But when I heard that, I couldn't help but think about one of Nash's key principles, which is don't be afraid to capitalize. So this idea of capitalization implies a couple of things. You have to put effort into capitalizing, intentional, purposeful effort into it. And also there is the factor of time. I recently had an interview. I'm looking forward to putting this one out on the podcast and channel with a client that has read Nash's book. She's actually had her young son read it with her, teenage son read it with her. And she's gone through our process. She has 2 policies now, one on herself and one on her son. We recently did an interview. I'm looking forward to putting that out there. But even when I asked about, hey, would you be willing to come on and give, a story, share your experience with everybody? Would you get on and do an interview with me? And she said, well, sure I would, but I haven't used my policy yet. And I get that, and I can appreciate that someone would want to speak from a position of experience. And here's what I pointed out to that particular client was that the experience that she had was capitalization. Yes, of course she'd gone through the steps of educating herself on the infinite banking concept, having multiple strategy calls with me about her particular situation, her particular questions, etc., going through the application process. And that takes some time. Again, I'm talking about the effort that has to go into opportunities, right? I'm talking about the time that goes into opportunities. So she was putting forth that effort. She was putting forth that time. And she did get to where she was paying a significant amount of premium for her to own these policies and to capitalize this privatized banking system that she was now building. And I just asked her not to diminish what she had done to get to where she was, because there is a capitalization phase in business, in becoming your own banker, perhaps I almost said perhaps in everything. What I started to think of there was I spent 7 years courting my wife. Now, that was partly because we met young and there were going to be some things that we were going to accomplish before we got married. That's just what we decided to do. We finished high school together. We both did go get our 4-year degrees. And then as soon as we got out of college, we were married that year. We were married in a couple of months. But we did have that track record too, though, is what I'm saying there. There was a capitalization phase there also in our relationship. So, and that's worked out really good. Better for me than for her, I'm sure. But I'm a blessed man in that way. But I did not want this particular client to diminish the effort and the time that she had put into her journey of becoming her banker already. And that capitalization phase, it's just not to be overlooked. Thomas Edison was talking there about it looks like work. It looks like overalls. Most people are missing opportunities. So I had somebody message me today, somebody that's a professional in their space. And because I've adopted this mentality of I'm open to have a discussion with somebody, I'm open to having a conversation, I'm open to looking at something new, I'm open to reading a new book, I've just decided not to arrive, because I can't anyway, but to rethink my thinking, okay, to constantly be learning, to be a perpetual student. And I had somebody message me, and there's a part of me that just wanted to jump by it. Yeah, I've got a lot of things to do. You've got a lot of things to do. You can understand what I'm saying. But I also don't want to miss out on opportunities. Now, I think that we could go too far and we could have this FOMO, okay, mindset, this fear of missing out. It wasn't that right there. It was more like, hey, I want to check my ego here and just be willing to hear what someone has to say for a certain amount of time. We can at least see where we're at. So looking at time, looking at effort that goes into capitalizing, that takes place here. That takes place on this journey of becoming your own banker. It takes time to read a book. But the people that read Nelson's Becoming Your Own Banker book, that then get on a phone call with me, it's just a different conversation. I know there are folks in this space that they will not have a conversation with you unless you've read Nelson's book first. And that's fine. That's great. That's their choice. That's their particular barrier. At this point in time, I'm willing to have a brief call with someone who has been exposed to this idea. Maybe they've not read the book yet, but that will be my highest suggestion, of course, for them. But if somebody's willing to take out the time, I'm willing to put in some time as well. If somebody's willing to put in some effort, I'm willing to put in some effort as well. So let's not be overlooking opportunities. First, to learn. First, to be exposed to new ideas. I mean, what if I'd have told the person that said to me years ago, Jesse, I just heard about this idea where you can become your own banker. If I'd have said, well, that sounds goofy. That sounds weird. I've never heard that before. Okay. And I'd have shut it off. Thank goodness that did not happen. Okay. Thank goodness we're having this conversation this time here together today, because I was open-minded enough at that time to learn, and it certainly was much to my benefit. But again, I put in some time, I put in some effort to read the book, to go through the process, to pay for a policy that I would own and control, and then to leverage that and to use that and to recapture and to build and grow and everything that we've done now. And Nash would say this in his book. He would say maybe it takes the average person 20 years to become their own banker, meaning to get to where they get all the snakes, what he would call the snakes and the dragons, out of their life. Okay. I would add the leeches. But he was talking about that capitalization phase as well. The time's going to go by either way. What if it does take us 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 25 years, whatever, to get to where our premiums are the equivalent of our incomes, to where we've gotten the snakes and the dragons out of our life, and we are completely our own bankers? We finance our entire lifestyle. Time's going to go by either way. It's worth the capitalization that takes place. It's worth the time. It's worth the effort. The time is going to go by either way. It's worth the effort. So I hope that this has been interesting to you. I hope that this has been helpful to you. If you have a suggestion on a quote that you would like us to cover, please put that down in the comments section. Let me know. I look at that. I appreciate that. And if you'd like to have a conversation about how you could implement the infinite banking concept into your household or your business or your investing, then don't hesitate to reach out to us. This has been a great pleasure for me. I look forward to our next conversation. Have a great day. Take care.
Jesse, we should have put our overalls on for this episode.